The 2024 season on paper looks to be a tough one for the Northern Arizona Wranglers, but I've seen Les Moss pull some magic out of his hat before. Let's see if they can do it this year. Let's go in the alley and talk about the Northern Arizona Wranglers. Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody, and here today we're going to talk about the 2024 Northern Arizona Wranglers. Now, no introduction, this team already has a championship, but they've only been around for a couple of years. We'll chat about their history and stuff here in 1 second, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't really know what to make of this team for this year. They bring back some players. They have a lot of rookies. They've got a very experienced football coach. They've got a pretty experienced coaching staff as a whole, and a pretty rabid fan base that's ready to get after it. So I just don't know where to place this team, and that'll be, closer towards the final thoughts and stuff, but it'll be curious to see how this team goes. But with that being said, let's go check out their history really quick and go from there. One of the newer teams to the league, and you'll kind of see that along with a lot of other teams that are very, very recently new, but no different are the Northern Arizona Wranglers, born in 2021. Well, actually 2020, at the end of 2020. They started their first year in 2021. In fact, let's just go ahead and pull up the history tab. It's a very brief history if they already claim a national championship. Located in Prescott Valley, Arizona, their head coach is Les Moss, playing in the Findlay Toyota Center with 6,000 as your capacity. Again, that one championship in 2022. I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad. I'm not salty. It is what it is. I'm not mad. Stop saying I'm mad. 2023, they finished 7-8. Good for the 4th seed in the West. Looking at their last 5 years, they technically only have 3. So last year, obviously 7-8, losing in the Western Conference Finals to Bay Area, who obviously goes on to win the championship. And 2022, winning the national championship against Quad City. They finished 12-4, but they beat Quad City 47-45, and the score looks close, but I'll be honest, Northern Arizona pretty much dominated that game. Quad City came back late and tried to make it something, but it was pretty much Northern Arizona's to lose. 2021, 1-13, did not qualify. You've seen the stuff around social media. Northern Arizona, worst to first. Bay Area, worst to first. Maybe Tulsa's next. We'll talk about them in a later preview, but hey, it's an accomplishment to go from worst to first. Northern Arizona's done it. Let's go check out their schedule. Like I said, it's kind of tough. We'll see what they can piece together when it comes to 2024. So as the schedule tab pops up here, I just want to say right now that it on paper looks pretty damn tough. When you consider last year, Northern Arizona squeaked into the playoffs, and I know some people will use a different term, not believe me. They lost 3 of their last 4 to get into the playoffs, and then before that losing started, they beat San Diego. San Diego finished 6-9, and Northern Arizona finished 7-8. So to be brutally honest with you, and I can't remember the conference win percentages and stuff, but if that San Diego Northern Arizona game goes a different way, it could be San Diego that was getting into the playoffs that year. Again, I'd have to remember the conference win percentage. Northern Arizona might have still snuck in there, but hey, they still got in there. They still upset Arizona, and they still got into the playoffs. So I can't fault them for that. But this year, let's take a look at it. This year looks to be just as tough. Obviously, you're starting out opening kickoff game, home against Arizona. And then you get your other Arizona rival in Tucson the very next week. Now you open both games at home, you have a chance to really start 2-0 and make some noise. You get a bye week. Like I've said, I'll do the preview for San Antonio, but I don't think they're going to be an easy out. I really, really don't. I think they're here to make some noise, You get a quick little bye week, home against Duke City, and then it's not necessarily a gauntlet, but as I've said in previous previews, previous episodes, I think the West is going to be better than the East. I think these guys are going to just duke it out. You can't really tell me, really, minus Bay Area and Arizona, in my opinion. Those other two playoff teams, it could go down to the wire, to be brutally honest with you. It could go down to the wire for literally seeds 3 and 4, and maybe the last week of the season to figure out who's getting into the playoffs. They play one team, literally one game, in the Eastern Conference, and that is at Massachusetts, Saturday, May 18th. Other than that, like I said, they're home and home against San Diego, home and home against Arizona, home and home against Vegas. I mean, they're playing everyone in the West, pretty much home and home. So you'll get the best shot 2 times from every team in the West, it seems. I think if you're only playing one in the East, that means you're playing Tucson 3 times. Okay. So you're playing Tucson 3 times. There's that. That's gonna be fun. Some big question marks with the remaining Western Conference in Tucson and Vegas, and obviously we'll get to their previews just like San Antonio and everyone else. We're over halfway done here, so they'll get their turn. But on paper, this looks like a season that could kind of maybe go like 2023 did. And is that enough this year to get you into the playoffs? Can they afford to lose 3 out of their last 4 games like they did last year? I don't know. I don't think so. But that it depends. It really depends on if Les Moss can get the talent. I don't doubt him. I really don't doubt Les Moss. He squeezes the best talent that he can out of the guys that he has. It's not like there's huge signings that he brings in all the time, or at least this year, and he's able to get the best talent out of it. With that being said, let's go talk about it, because like I said, I'm excited to see who's back, who's gone, and if the boys can get back to the playoffs and maybe beat Arizona for a 3rd straight year. Anyway, moving on, let's go talk about the players. It's just fun. It's just fun to troll. I don't want to stop. I know I have to, but it's just fun to just pick on Arizona. But in a serious note, let's talk about the players. Let's bring the players tab up here. Northern Arizona. They bring back, I believe, a total of 8 players, to my knowledge, from what's been said. They bring back 7. Okay, they bring back 7. We'll talk about 3 of them here. We'll talk about 3 that have left. You guys obviously see it over here on the side. Starting off with running back Gerard Ware Jr. He is back, 388 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns with 46 receptions, 394 receiving yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. Now, that doesn't look like a lot. He played 11 games. Well, at least started 11 games. You can start out in different formations. I count him starting as 11 games. But Garrett Kittle, we'll talk about him. He was kind of the catalyst when it came to running. He was kind of the, obviously, go-to guy. But Gerard Ware, nothing to sneeze at. It's a pretty solid season. Hopefully his production picks up this year. I was curious to see how he does, especially when you kind of look at down below with the wide receivers that have gone, and maybe he is going to be the all-around guy, kind of like what Antonio Wimbush was for Iowa. Remains to be seen, but I think he's going to have a good year. I do. I think he is going to be a veteran presence in that offense, and look for him early and often to get the ball. Moving on down, defensive lineman Tremont Lofton. 54.5 tackles, 24.5 tackles for a loss. That is almost half of his tackles. 8 sacks, 2 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble, 2 blocked kicks, and 1 safety. 2023 First Team All-Indoor Football League and the 2023 IFL Defensive Player of the Year. He just recently re-signed, I think just a couple weeks ago, and I was curious. I was wondering if he would come back. I was wondering if they would get someone like Armani Carey to come back, if they get Theo Majette to come back or anything like that, and they got him. they got the defensive player of the year to come back, and that is awesome. He looks to be a wrecking ball on the defensive line. Yeah, if he can replicate that stat line in 2024, there's no doubt in my mind Northern Arizona makes the playoffs. If he does that, and I know Les Moss is good with his defense, if he does that, Northern Arizona is making the playoff. I mean, that is such a great talent to have coming back. So I can't say enough nice things. The dude was a monster last year. Speaking of bringing the best defensive players back, defensive back Travion Banks, 54.5 tackles, the same amount as Tremont Lofton. Not as many tackles for loss, though, only 2.5. 7 pass breakups, 4 picks, and 1 forced fumble. Dude played all 15 games last year, just like Lofton did. So, again, having some key guys back on that defense is really going to help out Northern Arizona. They bring back a little bit on offense, the players that they've re-signed, but it's not that they're unproven. It's just that they only played a couple of games, minus, Gerard Ware, who played over half the season. But the defense looks pretty seasoned. They bring back a little bit on defense, and I think that's probably going to be the key for this team. But that being said, we got to talk about the offensive players and the players lost. So let's go chat about that. All right, so let's talk about key losses here. We're going to start out with Garrett Kettle. 1,814 passing yards, 35 passing touchdowns, 502 rushing yards, and 11 rushing touchdowns. The dude was not necessarily the offense, but he was obviously the catalyst, just like most quarterbacks are. I didn't see where he went. Not sure where he's at. Could he be back with Northern Arizona? Maybe. Not sure. I don't think he is, but hey, if he is, Northern Arizona's probably gonna maybe take a playoff spot. But hey, if he's not there, there's no one I trust better with talent than Les Moss. I mean, look at what he did with Garrett Kettle. Look at what he did with Nick Watson. I don't think those guys were very proven to start 2023, and he got into the playoffs. So it sucks losing them because, I mean, in my personal opinion, I think you should maybe have more of a seasoned veteran behind center, especially in a league where, it might take a game or two to really adapt to the rules and the game flow and stuff. But hey, some guys have different strategies. So this one will hurt though. Wide receiver Ramad Chakiao Bowman. And I said in the Arizona preview, I thought he was there, and he might still be. But I did look it up. He is in the Canadian Football League with the Montreal Alouettes, the Grey Cup champion Montreal Alouettes, mind you. Mm-hmm. They beat Winnipeg, so I'm upset. But 72 receptions, 1,017 receiving yards, 27 receiving touchdowns, 123 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns, pretty much on motion sweeps and things along those lines. Yeah, I don't know how he didn't win, first or second team all indoor football, but he was good. You just throw the ball up there, he's catching it. You just throw that ball up there, he is catching it. It's also going to suck. I didn't put him on here because I thought RCB was probably the better option, but Ryan Wisniewski's, I don't think, coming back. I didn't see where he went. He made the all-rookie team, and they don't return Glenn Gibbons Jr. I believe he signed with Arizona. Could be mistaken, but I thought that was on the transactions page before it got taken down. Sheldon Augustine's off to the Arena Football League. They resign Justin Miniweather. They resign Isaiah Johnson Sr. I think he's a senior. Isaiah Johnson Sr. So they do have some wide receivers. They're a little unproven, a little raw. They got into a couple of games. I think Isaiah Johnson was on IR for a lot of the season last year. So wide receivers could be a point of contention for Northern Arizona. And finally, let's talk about defensive back Keyshawn Walker. Keyshawn Walker. My God, learn to pronounce things. He's off to the UFL. Now it's in my head. Is it Keyshawn or Keyshawn? Whatever. Keyshawn Walker. Jesus Christ, we're wasting time here, Cody. He's off to the UFL. He signed with the St. Louis Battlehawks. 54 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 8 interceptions, 9 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. I hate when I mispronounce names. Just a side note, I hate it. I want to get people's names right. I feel like I screw it up all the time. But anyway, back to Mr. Walker. 2023 Indoor Football League All-Rookie Team. When you look at his stats and compare him to Travion Banks, they are very similar. Very, very similar, to the point where, minus the interceptions, they are damn near the same. So, which is insane. He had more interceptions. But yeah, he's doing something right. He's moving on up to the UFL, which is what the Indoor Football League wants to do. They are a developmental league. Triana said so. So moving your players up into the NFL, into the CFL, into the UFL, and I can say the same thing for Chalky Bowman. That's the goal. Get them up there. I mean, it sucks. You have to put them as a key loss, or I guess I have to put them as a key loss. But to see them succeed in other areas, and I don't want to say better football leagues, because the Indoor Football League is good, to excel in moving on up, it bodes well. Like I said, that's the strength of this league. So getting these guys and getting them into positions to get to the UFL and CFL, that's the end game for the Indoor Football League. So it sucks that they're gone. I think Northern Arizona might struggle a little bit, but I think once they get their team chemistry going, once they get their guys settled in, they're going to be hopefully on a roll. And we'll talk about that here with our final thoughts. All right, so final thoughts for Northern Arizona, and I'll be honest, I don't know. I could see him as many as 10 wins. I could see him as little as like 6. To me, it's all how the rookie players develop. I can see them developing well. I could see them getting back into the playoffs and doing what they need to do. I could also see this team starting out kind of slow due to, lack of preseason and stuff like that. I know there's training camp, what have you, but it still takes a couple of games to get up to game speed, and it could be something where Northern Arizona could really use those bye weeks early in the season to really get this team under control. So, like I said, I have them on the fringe. I don't know if I have them in. I don't know if I have them out, but I'll tell you this much. They are going to be a player towards the end of the season. Whether or not they're in the hunt, whether or not they're not in the hunt, they could make some noise. They could also play spoiler for other teams that are making playoff charges too, if that's how their record goes. But ultimately, they're a huge wild card for me. But I want to hear from Northern Arizona fans. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs? Tell me why. Why they are, why they aren't. To me, it's just a huge question mark. I know I keep saying that, but it's so hard to figure out, especially when you just have a whole bunch of kind of unproven rookies. I mean, you can kind of look at maybe some game film. You can maybe look at their stats in college and stuff, but how well does that translate to the indoor game? So, I don't know. Like I said, I could see them as a 3 seed. I guess I'll just put them there for right now, but I could see them also not making the playoffs, unfortunately. But that's where I'm at with Northern Arizona. It might not be what some people want to hear, but that's just how big of a question mark they are to me. So, with that being said, I'm going to sign off here, guys. Appreciate you guys watching the videos, liking, subscribing, commenting, doing all of the stuff that you're, I guess, supposed to do with YouTube videos. Thank you guys for watching. As always, we'll talk tomorrow. Quad Cities is up. The Quad City Steam Wheelers are on deck. Oh boy. So I'm gonna get off of here. I'm gonna go catch some sleep because I am just dead tired. Don't have kids. They stay up all night. With that being said, I'm signing off. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.